Greetings, comrades. We are continuing our reading of Michael Parenti's Inventing Reality. We are on chapter 11, titled Propaganda Themes. And again, broken into subchapters. Subchapter 1, American Virtue and Anti-Americanism. Here we are talking about the press ignoring the role of the U.S. military in coups. We're talking about the Bay of Pigs and calling it a fiasco, and basically saying that any concerns, specifically by the Cubans or by Castro, are just anti-Americanism. Talking about the 1979 Iranian hostage crisis. We're talking about the Philippines. We're talking about all these different places in the world that the U.S. has intervened and destabilized, and the media just dismissing any of these concerns as, oh, they're just anti-American. Section 2, the non-existence of imperialism, where we talk here about protecting U.S. interests and our national security, when in reality, what we're talking about is U.S. corporate interests, and that's what we're doing over there. Asking, why is the Global South poor? Or essentially not asking why they are poor. And of course, never blaming capitalism or imperialism. 3, moderate authoritarian regimes. We're talking about client states here. So, the U.S. has all these client states all over the world, and the media never talks about them as such. They are allies, right? Anytime the right is overpowering the left, that's reported as good, and anytime the left is overpowering the right, that is seen as bad. They, of course, ignore atrocities committed by these client states, and they make up or at least exaggerate those by our enemy states. Number 4, evil, power-hungry leftists, always ignoring the good things that leftist leaders do for their people, and always talking about how it's totalitarianism, right? Always anti-communism, always framing things that the Marxists are doing as exploiting the desires of the working class, not acting in the interests of the working class. Once again, right-wing revolutions are good, left-wing revolutions are bad. Again, talking about Castro, when he wants friendly relations with the U.S., he must have ulterior motives. And talking about Haiti, or really anytime the media mentions class warfare, they're talking about the poor fighting back and saying that that's bad, and never framing it when the rich are oppressing the poor, that is also class warfare. Let's see, this is a quote, if democracy picks a leftist leader, then democracy has to go. Number 5, economic failures. A challenge to the privileged class order is portrayed as an attack on the social order of a nation or an area, and an invitation to chaos, right? So anytime the privileged are attacked by the underprivileged, that is seen as just inviting chaos. Why are they doing this? The middle class is a privileged class in the third world. So the U.S. media loves to talk about the middle class, which we know isn't even really a real thing, but let's just say that it is for now. Middle income people, when they talk about the middle class locally in the U.S., it's always said, we're just trying to appeal to these middle class American values. And when they talk about the middle class in the third world or the global south, those are people of a lot of privilege in places like that, but it's never framed that way. There are 4 steps to reporting on the third world, according to Parenti. Nothing positive can ever be said about the reforms done by leftist governments. They always have to have sympathy for the haves and ignore the have-nots. They ignore the effects of U.S. policy, specifically proxy wars, invasions, embargoes, and sanctions. And number 4, assume that economic adversity is just due to local mismanagement. Number 6, democracy is in the eyes of the beholder. Whenever the right wing wins elections, that's good and democratic. Whenever the left wing wins elections, they must have been rigged. And number 7, inferior peoples and their hopeless ways. Basically, just degrading people in the global south and really framing everything they want as just being hopeless, and that they are framed as being like less than the West, right? So saying that the Chilean people brought Pinochet on themselves, and framing things as the nature and culture of these people, talking about Arab behavior and the Islamic mind, right? This framing that has been decades long of Arab peoples and the Muslim world as being inherently violent. That's something we've heard our whole lives. And framing the post-Soviet Russia as civilizing Russia, the return of civility to the Russian people. Absolutely horrific. So that is chapter 11. Cheers.